r/Askreddit by Reddit and chill. Have you ever bumped into your cat outside of your house in the neighborhood? How was the interaction? I was driving past a school a couple of blocks from home and saw his fat ass disappearing through a side gate. Pulled over and said to him through the fence, "What are you doing out here?" You could see from the confusion on his face that he was surprised to see me. It was all wait. What? He meowed at me a couple of times, then wandered off to whatever business he was up to. Mayo, you make it sound like he's your friend and you're ducking with him, lol. I grew up in a rural community where it was common to have cats wandering around in the neighborhood. We had a cat that always came over to our place that we fed. She was the friendliest cat. As long as she was within the bounds of our property. As soon as she left the edge of our driveway though, she would run away from you if you tried to approach her. Not sure why being outside of our lawn caused a 180-degree personality shift. But that's the way she was. I've had boyfriends with similar tendencies. I ask him, "Why are you outside?" "Ricardo, you are an indoor kitty. Do not run or resist. I have you now. Return to me." And then he just run. Your cat has the best name. When I was a kid we lived near the school and my cat would listen for the recess bell and come find me on the playground. She got confused when I went to junior high and wasn't there at recess anymore. That's adorable. Not my cat. But the story fits. I used to have 3 cats. But this isn't about them. Every once in a while, a random neighborhood cat would get in our house through the cat door, eat our cat's food, and get pets and cuddles from whoever was inside. We called this cat Spots. We'd see him at the house, of course, and in about a 3-block radius. He was our part-time cat. One time, he came over and stayed for 3 days. It was cold. He'd sleep on my bed. So cute. Anyway, on the 3rd day, there was a sign on the corner. Lost Tomcat. Very friendly. XXXXXXXXXX, no physical description or anything. Just that. I figured that whoever made the sign was probably talking about Spots. So I called. Turns out I was right. The owner, an elderly man, walked over to the house. As soon as Spots saw the guy, he ran up to him and rolled over on his back like a friendly kitty. "Oh, hi. Sweet pea. I missed you too." He picked Spots up. Spots went all floppy like a rag doll, rubbing up against the guy's hand. I explained that Spots just kinda showed up, ate the food, made friends with the humans, and avoided the other cats. The guy said that Sweet Pea has done that a couple times before, at different houses. He's such a charming little man. But it's cold. So I wanted to make sure he was okay. And I missed the little guy. He walked home, carrying the cat. Spots kept showing up to say hi for the rest of the time I lived there. Oh, this is my favorite. Yeah, found out he would regularly visit the pub which was down the end of the street and through an alley. He would go there and beg food from people sitting on the benches outside. He looked deeply guilty when he saw me standing watching him. I can explain. He froze, slowly backed up a few steps and ran home. Another time I was going for a walk and heard him meowing. He emerged from a nearby bush and did his pick-me-up dance. I carried him about a half-mile home. He was very pleased with himself. Edit. Imgur.com link. Edit 2. The picture is safe for work. I tried to fix it but don't know if it worked. Well done, slave. My cat pretends he doesn't know who I am if he's anything further afield than our driveway. Literally just acts like I'm cramping his style. He's a prick and I adore him. My old neighborhood was home to a lot of friendly strays that my cat befriended. I'd let him out while I was at work to chill with them. He acted like he didn't know me when they were around. But really he's a baby that gets sad if I come home late. My family had 3 cats, 2 now. The one this comment concerned passed away this spring. 2 out of 3 liked the occasional wander. But the 3rd, Sephora, preferred to stay at home and be an old grumpy cat lady. She did not like other cats, people or anyone who wasn't me or my parents. But sometimes, when I was walking home from school, I would spot her a bit away from our home charming all the neighborhood kids for cuddles. I never intervened or acted like I noticed. and if she heard me she'd leave. But I knew. Sounds like she was a cool cat. So sorry for your loss. She waits by the side of the street every evening. When she sees me coming around the corner, she runs towards me, making little weird sounds. Then she rubs herself all over me and follows me inside the house. My cat thinks he's a dog. He comes when called, plays fetch, and wrestles with our hounds. Every evening Cat waits at the corner for me to walk the puppy. Then he follows us around the block, plays in the field with the dog for a bit, then comes home and waits for my husband to walk the bigger dog, who is his best friend. 2 nights ago Cat brought his stray cat friend to walk with us. So I was the crazy lady walking a dog and 2 cats. I get some weird looks. Edit. Since people seem to like Fuji. He also walks with the neighbor dogs. Every morning he walks with an old man with a golden retriever and he approaches anyone else he sees while walking. He seems to have figured out which dogs are friendly. He has about 4 houses that he goes to eat and visit with people and their pets. Cat tags. Old post I made a while ago. Reddit.com /animals being broth comments d4 pans using Fuji cuddle bros. I came across my cat down the road near the busy main road. I was concerned that she would get run over, so I picked her up and decided to walk her home. She didn't mind at first as she is quite used to being picked up, but it was a good 5-minute walk to our house and she started to struggle more and more on the way up to a point where I struggled to contain her. When I finally got home I could not get the keys out of my pocket as I needed to restrain her. So I knocked the door. My girlfriend came to the door and looked at me as if I was crazy. I said, "I found Charlie near the main road." I didn't know she roams that far, so I brought her back to avoid her getting run over. She stared at me for another 10 seconds before she said, "That's not Charlie. Charlie is asleep on the sofa." I once chased a cat around my neighborhood for a good 25 minutes. Trying to get my cat in so I could go to bed. Come home after not even catching the cat. And my cat is sleeping in my bed. When I lived in Bath, there was a cat that was only semi-officially ours, as in, he had no real owner. He was a stray that had returned to the area after their family moved away, and lived between the many houses on the street. As a result, he had many names. Atkinson, Dave, Ginger and Fonzworthy amongst them. During the warmer periods, he would lie down on the pavement at a junction, getting affection from anyone who passed by. So it wasn't uncommon for me to see him lying out and about when returning home from work. I'd moved away when he passed away, but there was news articles. Metro Co UK link. Oh, this is so beautiful though. What an incredible place to get to live as a stray. Not me, but my mom would tell this story every time I sang the song about Freddie Wilson's cat growing up. In the summer my indoor childhood cat would sit in the windows and occasionally pop out the screens. One night he did this and my mom caught him casually walking down the street when she was coming home from work. She just got out of the car and asked him exactly where the hell he thought he was going, lol. He took off into the ravine. And she prepared to have to tell very young me that our cat ran away. By the time she got through the neighborhood though, he was waiting in the carport. There is a Mexican expression. Cats and drunk people. God knows how, but they always find their way home. When I was living at my parents' we had brought in a stray cat and named her Molly. Whenever I left the house for work, Molly would escort me to the end of the road, and when I came home late at night after going out to the pub club, Molly would hear me and meet me halfway down the road as I was heading back. Best cat ever. Their hearing is astounding. When I was a kid in the 1960s, a guy in a van delivered fresh fish every Wednesday morning at around 11 AM to 1 PM. Depending on how busy he'd been with previous deliveries. Our cat, like most cats, adored fish. And the guy adored our cat. So he would always have some of cut to give him when he delivered. So our cat would start acting weird every Wednesday morning. Not going out to the wilderness behind the house as normal. Just hanging around the front of the house. He knew what day it was. Then at some point he'd run to the front door and sit there looking through it intently. We knew then that the van was about 5 minutes away. Without fail. So not only did he know what day of the week it was, he could hear that particular van, a very common model of van, a Commer FC, But other people's FCs never confused him from some extraordinary distance. At least half a mile away. Panicked because he doesn't like other people. Then realized it was me and acted smug that his human was with him. Yeah. I take my human for walks. Don't you? She likes being near me when we're outside together. But if I try to pet her, she acts like, stop. My friends will see. So we just chill together near each other. My boyfriend's cat jumped into my backpack after I got off the bus in high school. That's skillful. My parents' cat has learned the sound of all of our car engines and knows not to be afraid. So one night, as I was driving home from work, he was out wandering the neighborhood and stopped a nice couple out for a walk to get some belly rubs. I turn onto our street. His ears perk up and he runs to the middle of the road. This couple is freaking out. Trying to get him back to the side of the road cause, you know, there's a car coming. I pull off to the side. Start yelling explicits at him as I get out of my car. The couple is trying to explain that he just ran to the middle of the road. They were trying to get him out of the road. They don't know who he belongs to. I apologized. Told them he's my cat and he always runs in front of our cars. Looked at him. Said zipper. You stupid cat. Get in the car. We're going home. He jumped in and off we went. I don't know who scared the couple more. The cat running in front of the car. Or the crazy woman in the car yelling at the cat. I found him with stray cats and he totally ignored me. When he came home later, I sat him down and had a serious talk with him about hanging out with strays. Since then, every time I bump into him, he abandons his friends and runs home then acts all cute when I get there. I drove around the corner one time and saw my cat sitting in a circle of other cats and I rolled down the window and I was like smoky cloud, what on earth do you think you are doing? And his eyes snapped up and locked with mine and all the cats scattered. He looked so guilty when I got home. He was hanging out with some other humans while sitting on my wall. Traitor. The postal worker once asked me if I knew where the poor little stray cat came from that she'd seen hanging around my house. Apparently my cat was begging so hard she thought Kitty was homeless. My current little void demon is an indoor only cat for several reasons, but I did interact with her once outside. We lived in a caravan at the time, next to an old rundown shed. Went out one morning. With the windows open, screens closed, so she could have fresh air. Came home. Parked by the shed. Looked at the gap where the metal door had been bent out of shape. And there she is sitting in the doorway. My dumbus, having previously lived rurally with outdoor cats, simply looks at her and goes, oh hi girl, wait. Turns out the sneaky little ducker literally learned how to flick those little clasps to the side to open the screen. Then she'd lift it and wiggle out. Ended up watching her attempt to get out this way several times to confirm we hadn't gone crazy, and then she lost window privileges. At least your cat opened the screen. My cat will just claw himself a hole in the screen. When I was in high school, my friend's cat used to come visit me at my house. Always took a picture of us cuddling to show her who the cat's favorite really was. That's adorable. Were your houses close together? I once got home from work to find my cat basically glued to the ground in front of the door crying her head off. Turns out she snuck out when my roommate got home and he didn't notice, and she was sitting there for 15 minutes. I lived behind a big field forest growing up that was on the border to my neighborhood. One time my cat came strutting out of the wilderness while me and my friends were playing with a giant dead bird in its mouth. He saw us and stopped. Then slowly turned around back into the wilderness. That was the day I learned my cute Mr. Skittles was living a double violent life. That cat looks just like my cat. Walks up to our apartment and sees broken screen from the second story window. Looks back at cat. Meow. He was fine. And happy to have explored the neighborhood, I guess. Not cats but crows that I sometimes hang out with. Sometimes they'll be doing their thing eating shit from the side of the road and I'll just be out heading to work or walking with friends and we will bump into each other. It's duckin' weird because you basically have that interaction that you always have when bumping into someone you know, where you just head nod and say hey. But with a crow. How did you befriend crows? I had an outdoors cat as a little kid. Also had a large woods behind my house. One day when I was about 10 I went walking in the woods because I knew there were some blackberry bushes and wished to partake. On the way back I encountered my cat. This animal usually gave the impression he gave not one particle of a duck about anything. I have a vivid memory of him strutting through the backyard dragging a rabbit twice his size with its throat torn open. He was king of the duck in Pride Lands. And when he ran into me in the woods he immediately freaked out. I can only assume he thought I was lost back there because he started running circles around my legs. Then walking about 10 feet in the direction of my house. Then meowing at me. Then repeating. I followed him all the way home. He went right back to normal after that. But I never forgot what a true bro he was underneath the attitude. That's so cute. He was worried because he thought you were a house human and wouldn't be able to survive outside. Ducking, like and subscribe.